In this video I will show you how to use retrofit in Android and URL session in iOS for networking inside a Flutter project. Now I know you might be thinking that why we should complicate our Flutter project with retrofit and URL session for networking. We already have the HTTP method, right? But suppose currently Flutter like when I am recording the video, Flutter does not support 3D rendering directly. Like the impeller support will be coming in future. So suppose I want to load 3D model from network, so Flutter does not directly do that. You will have to write native code for it. And you might be thinking, okay, I will call the use the HTTP library to fetch the 3D model, but and then I will send it to the native side. But that is actually very wrong practice, because you would be sending it from Flutter to native side. That will cause a lot of performance issue. Also, another thing is, suppose I want to do some kind of a background operation when the app is completely closed. Like I want to call my API and sync the data with my local database. So you can't call HTTP because HTTP method of API of Dart or library of Dart for networking, because work manager is only available in native Android. So again, what you will do, you will fetch you are in a bit of a trouble, right? So it's better to know this way as well. So I will be using this API, this get API, and I will show one post API as well. So these are open source API and you can use it however you want. So this is just calling this endpoint will fetch you all this data, and call this is for post. So this is the same endpoint, but we will be sending this kind of a data, and the output will be the same kind of a data. Okay, so firstly, don't you so if you are using your own endpoint of API endpoint, make sure you are not using HTTP. It should be HTTPS. If you are using HTTP, you might have to add transport policy for iOS in info.plist and clear traffic something in Android manifest. Yeah, you can Google that if you are using HTTP. I'm not using HTTP, I'm using HTTPS, so I don't have to worry about it. Now I have created a Flutter project, and inside that, first of all, I have created my home page, and here I have just created two text button. Okay, and I have created a method channel called network platform. You can name it whatever you want, but make sure whatever name you use over here, you use the same name on the native side as well. And here you can see I'm calling the get API call, and I'm calling post API call, and in post API I'm sending the data from the Dart side itself. Yeah, and we are just invoking the method, so we have to define this same exact method on the native side as well. And we are getting the result back in string, and you can JSON string parse or whatever you can do. Once you get the data in string, you can JSON parse it and show it inside a list view dot builder or whatever is your use case. Okay, next you have to go to the Android folder, go to app, go to src, go to main, go to android manifest.xml and add this internet permission. Next, go to build.gradle, and here you have to add retrofit dependency as well as this lifecycle dependency for accessing coroutines. Next, go to Kotlin. I have created this request object. So this is how the request looks like. We are passing title, body and user ID for the post endpoint, and I have created a response folder as well. So this is the register response for the post endpoint. This is how we will get the data back in post call. And VC response, we will this is the get response, get API response, and we will get a list of this. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Next, we have to define a seal service class. So here you can see I'm just passing the end URL, not the entire URL, just the end part of it, and I have defined register and get claim VC. Yeah, this is the post call and this is the get call, and here you can see I'm passing the request, getting back the response, and this is how the response for the get endpoint will look like. Next, go to main activity, and here I have defined a method channel result, and I have over here I have defined the required code for retrofit. Let me check once. Okay, yeah, it's fine. Okay, so go to main activity. You have to define this kind of a code, and here you have to only pass the base URL, not the entire URL. Okay, the last part is passed over here, post. So here you have to only pass the base URL. So we are creating a retrofit object, and here you can see I have defined the method channel. This is our network platform method channel, and defined two methods, get API call, post API call. And here I am calling get claim list VC list, which will give us all the data for the get API endpoint and sending it back. Same, getting title, body, user ID and data from Dart side to the native side, then just sending it back to the register endpoint, and whatever data we get, we sending it back to the Dart side. So yeah, that's it for Android. Pretty simple, right? Next, for iOS, go to runner, go to app-delegate.swift, and here first I have defined this flutter view controller, then I have defined my method channel, network platform, and here I am calling two method, post API call and get API call, as we have defined it on the Dart side. And here you can see first I am checking whether the title, body, user ID I'm getting it properly or not for the post endpoint. And here you can pass your entire URL, make a dictionary out of it. Then this is like simple code of setting the post HTTP method, application is JSON value, content type, sorry I mean, and then we are doing JSON serialization. Also I have defined, I'm using Codeable, so I have defined this list response, and this is how we get the response. Okay, and once we get the so list response is used over here. Okay, and here as well, because the response is the same, right? So once we get the data, I'm just sending it back to the Dart side, and don't forget to call resume. Next, for get API call, again same base endpoint, sorry, the entire URL, not just the base URL. There you have to pass the entire URL. Then we have to define a task, urlsession.shared.data task. Whatever data we get, we are just sending it back to the Dart side, and don't forget to call task.resume. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Yeah, bye.